I want to introduce everybody to one of my favorite people. Her name's Kelley Edwards, and she's the owner of Be Moved Yoga and Wellness in Crystal Lake. We are just really excited that she is going to be spending time with us today to be talking about how yoga can help runners. The Chicago Marathon is now about 3 weeks away, and it's that time when everybody is starting to feel their little niggles. And I think that if people understand how to properly warm up, how to recover, we can really reduce the risk of injuries that tend to creep up right now as mileage is creeping up, but also more importantly, that recovery. So giving your body that care it needs after you've worked it out really hard. I think that I'll tell my personal story here in a second, Kelley, about yoga, but I just give everybody a quick, your story real quick.
All right. Well, Denise, thank you for the intro. You are also one of my favorite people here in the community. So happy for our connection and relationship. But yes, as she said, I am the owner and one of the instructors here at Be Moved Yoga and Wellness in Crystal Lake. I myself have close to 1,000 hours of education in yoga. So most yoga teachers that are teaching public classes have a 200-hour certification. I've continued on with different modules for athletes, for women, for kids, myofascial work, meditation, a whole bunch of different aspects and branches of yoga to use it more as a therapeutic tool. So I am a big believer in wanting people to feel good in their bodies. If you feel good in your body, you're going to feel good in your brain. You're going to be able to give back to the community in a good way. So what we do here in my studio is mobility work, strength, flexibility. We do meditations, breath work, all the different aspects of yoga that just make you start to feel a little less scattered and more whole. And a big part of that is coming back from injury as well.
I think that I really discovered yoga when I was I had just opened the clinic here and was running all the time because that was what I was doing for stress relief and just to stay healthy. But the business was creeping into my head at all times of the day. And so I started doing yoga then and realizing that yoga, yes, I felt my runs actually felt lighter. I felt faster. So there were physical benefits, but more importantly, I had some mental things that I learned how to shut my brain down. So yoga helped me really love running for what it was, because every time I'd run, my brain would start to think about work and all these ideas, and I'd have to stop and make a note on my phone and distracting to my runs. So I started associating running with thinking really hard, which is not what I wanted. So yoga helped me learn how to just shut my brain down. So it's changed my life. Mm-hmm. And I do it now twice a week, and I think I feel so much better, and I'm so grateful. So, and Kelley is an awesome instructor. The other instructors at her studio, her studio, are amazing too. And just they have some strength classes, which I know everyone thinks yoga is this super easy thing, but it's not. It can be very, very hard. So it's a good option for strength training as well. So the title of our talk was From Mat to Miles, and understanding runners yoga. And it's just not, to me, it was a little bit different about yoga for the runner, but the stuff that Kelley's working with is designed specifically for runners. So that's why this is runners yoga. I was intentional in trying to convey that in the name because I want people to understand that runners deserve to feel this way too. Mm-hmm. All right. So Cal, let's talk real quick about how yoga helps you in everyday life, but what you also see from some of your clients. I think personally, yes, I've been able to shut my mind down more, but also the cool thing is I've been lifting much heavier as I'm going through some perimenopause stuff. I'm really seeing the value of strength training, but the more mobile I've become, the better my lifting has become, because I can get into some positions better. When I'm doing some powerlifting, I can get deeper in my squats. I feel like my shoulders can get in different spots now than they could before. So I'm grateful for that freedom of movement that I have now from yoga. So what else are you seeing either in yourself or other clients on how as runners, we can benefit from yoga.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it goes back to your personal story with it of running was doing something for you initially, moving your body, being able to kind of disconnect, but then those thoughts started to kind of creep back in. And in yoga, we believe like how the body is moving is how the mind is moving as well. So if you're moving quickly, if you're moving forward, the thoughts, the brain are gonna mirror that as well. So you going on these runs and these thoughts coming in like, yeah, what else can we do to be productive and move forward? That makes sense for us in the yoga community. That makes sense. So a big component, what I believe we're doing here in the studio is a lot of unlearning of what we do in society. You are meant to go quickly, rush from one thing to the next. This idea of instant gratification. It's all different here in the yoga studio. We want you to go slower. We want you to take your time. There's no rush to get anywhere. There is space, there is calm, there's patience for what needs to show up. So that quieting, coming back more into that parasympathetic mode versus the sympathetic fight, fight, or freeze, go, go, go that we're in constantly. So I kind of see what we do in the studio here as almost like gathering around the bonfire at night and unwinding, calming down, venting, talking about our day, being within community, because that is a really big part of nervous system regulation, mental health, and those differ between being a good athlete and the best athlete, your mindset and your injury prevention tactics. So we're hitting that mindset, that mental health, that nervous system component already with what we do in the classes here. With the variety that we have, like you said, we can touch into strength, we can do breath work, meditation. What I'm going to teach today for the recovery portion is the myofascial work, which is one of my favorite things to nerd out about with my students. But I just see within myself and within my students, space around not having to rush to the next thing, space around reaction versus responding, space around your feelings, vulnerability, just that openness. And how you are on your mat is how you are in your life. So if you are coming into a practice that is slowing you down, that is opening you up, and what you're noticing is better range of motion to get that grip and to go deeper into the squats, that's all space showing up in your body to get you there. And I say all the time in my classes, like everything just works better with space. Everything does. Your organs work better. You as a human work better. Imagine being in line at the grocery store and you can feel when someone is getting too close to you and you're like, okay, can you back off? I need my space. I feel better with space. So I think that's what the yoga practice gives you. We also say it is an informance versus a performance. A lot of what we're doing in our life is performing, is this outward energy going to serve, creating action, completing our goals and dreams. Yoga is this opportunity to now go inward and take a look at yourself and what you're carrying and what you're dealing with and inform yourself about yourself. I think it's quite surprising how many new students I run into that just don't have this connection inward. When I'm like, what does your intuition say? How does your body intuitively want to move? And they're like, I don't know. I've never started that conversation before. That is huge for runners, for athletes, to be able to talk to yourself in those moments of vulnerability, of intensity, to cheerlead yourself on. And even before that, to recognize when the alarm systems are going off in the body. That is what getting on the mat teaches you. When is this too much? When have I pushed too far? How can I back off? Same things we can tell ourselves when we hit the trails.
Well, I love that there's such an expansion on how it can be used and the outcomes that everyone can get out of it, because it's different for everybody and everyone can find their space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's awesome. Just for logistics of this webinar that we're doing. This first part, I'm going to just ask Kelley a couple more questions, and then we're going to switch into a 10-minute warm up and a 10-minute recovery. And for those of you that are on right now, you'll be emailed, or even if you didn't come on, you're watching this later on, you'll be emailed the link that will have 3 separate, you can hear our conversation, and then there'll be a warm up and a recovery, all separate videos for you, so that you can use whichever part you need to. Maybe you're listening to our conversation in the car, and then when you are done with your run, or later on tonight, you may be doing the recovery side of it. So use it however you want, but just to lay that out for everybody. Mm-hmm. So, and if any of you have questions as we go, just go ahead and post them in the chat. There's a text box or a word bubble box at the bottom right-hand corner. So if you just want to click on that and type in your message, I will share that with Kelley. I will probably not be answering during the yoga portion. So I won't be interrupting Kelley during that yoga portion. We might come back at the end to finish some of those questions. But if you have questions now, just go ahead and post them. All right, so Kel, talking about, so the first part we're going to do is the warm up and then the recovery side of it. So warm up to me as a physical therapist is 2-part. One is prevention. So getting the joints and the muscles ready to go for what you're about to load, especially with running. But then the preparation side of it too. So preventing by getting the tissues ready to load, and then the preparation for being able to perform at a higher level. So for you, what does yoga look like as a warm-up?
To me, it is about lubricating the joints. We say like taking the oil can to all of your joints and oiling things up, getting things ready to go, ready to move. So for runners specifically, that's going to be doing things to prepare the feet, ankles, knees. We'll get into quads and hamstrings. But the spine, the shoulders can take a lot of stiffness. A lot of stiffness can rest in those areas because they tend to be more still, as the legs are the ones doing most of the moving. So it's not static stretching by any means. Like, we don't want to go cold into stretches. Even in our yoga classes, there are things we're doing to warm up the body, to move around, to make sure we get all those cracks and pops out of the joints before we start to go into our deeper poses. So it's not safe to just sit and try to elongate and stretch when we're about to go and warm up the muscles. What's better is to start moving those muscles a little bit, do more dynamic stretching. And the warm-up sequence that I have for you guys incorporates that balance kind of right off the bat as well, because you are in this asymmetrical movement as a runner. So getting your body, brain, breath all prepared and ready for the action, the run that's about to come.
A lot of the runners I work with, when I ask them, what do you do for a warm up? They're like, well, I run. And I was like, well, doing the sport doesn't count as a warm up. So it's about movements of that. And I think that it's important to realize that you and I both are very busy with our families, with our businesses, with our own personal health journeys. So not everyone always has 10 minutes to do a warm up. Sometimes I only have 20 minutes total because I dropped one kid off at one activity. I have to go get another one. Sometimes I only have 20 minutes. So today, what you've designed is a full 10-minute routine, but within that, people can make options for themselves. Explain how that works, that you don't have to sit and do a full 10 minutes every single time.
Mm-hmm. I think that's where having some practice, it might not be yoga, but something where you are looking inwardly at yourself and noticing what's working well for you, what's feeling stiff, what feels tired. Having that information from your own self, then the next time I go to run, I have this little flag in my mind of my calves and my ankles were really bothering me. So So I don't need to do a full warm up through the whole body, but what should get attention is what was maybe screaming at me at the end of my last run saying, I need help, I need recovery. I'll address the calves and the ankles then. Okay, maybe then I do my little warm up, and that could be 30 seconds on each leg, a minute on each leg. So it took you 2 minutes to warm up, to prepare, and now you can go for your run. Okay, maybe then you go on the run, and because of what you did for the calves and ankles to warm up, they feel great, you feel light, you're running well. But then as you're coming towards the end, you're noticing your low back is now starting to talk to you. So again, you have a practice that you're looking inward, you're doing kind of body scan is what we call it, taking inventory. And then that's what you use to warm up for the next run. So it doesn't have to be whole body all the time, but pay attention to yourself as you're doing these activities. See what's flagging you, what needs a little extra love and attention, and then just focus on that space for your warm up.
You've said in the past that when runners are consistent with this, it actually helps them perform better. And helps them reach their goals. How does that correlate with a good preparation?
So strength and range of motion equals power. So if you want to be able to run faster, do more mileage, you need to be strong, you need to have a flexible body. So if you want to hit those goals, you need to prepare the body for the run, you need to recover as a way to prepare for the next run that's coming. Okay, so your warm up is the run you're about to do right now, that you're about to go out and do. The recovery is preparing you for the next time that you go out onto the trail. So it's not just, okay, for this one run, I did my warm up, my recovery. Your recovery is playing over into the next warm up and run. And that warm up is preparing you for that run. And then that run gets you further. So it's just this beautiful cycle that plays into itself. And you become stronger because you've unlocked tight, stiff, dehydrated places in the body that now have space to open and contract the way that you want them to when you hit the trails.
That's, as we lead into talking about why you need to do some people will call it a cool down. I don't love that term, but I'll call it recovery work. It's the same thing, that it's prevention and preparation. And you just described that beautifully, because that leapfrogging of our system that has to happen, for one to get ready for the next, and then to recover, and then just to keep that cycle. It's an important thing for people to understand that recovery, and you're going to do a 10-minute recovery option as well, that not everyone always has 10 minutes either. Sometimes you only have 5. But prevention is the love that you need to give your tissues for working so hard for you. And so what I've educated people on in my practice is that recovery doesn't necessarily have to be done immediately after the run. It could be done an hour later. It could be done 5 hours later. It could be done 10 hours later, right before you go to bed. If you ran in the morning, because I run at like 5 or 5:30. I don't always have time, depending on what the kids have or I have, to do a full cool down or whatever. So sometimes I have to do it at 11 o'clock at night when I get home and I finished all my stuff, which then also helps me prep to go to bed. But we could talk about how yoga can help people sleep better later on. But so that recovery side of it, what does yoga look like as recovery then? And why is it important that runners consistently put that in their routine?
So yeah, as I mentioned, the recovery portion is, yes, settling things down from the run that you just had. And I agree, I don't like the words cool down for what you do at the end, because your body is naturally going to go through its temperature regulation. You'll cool down. But what you need to do, again, is be spending that time, that extra love and attention on the places that were pinging you during the run, saying, this felt really hard, this felt really heavy. It's like a friend texting you constantly, wanting to reach out, and you just never responding back. Like, do you think you're going to have a good relationship with that friend? No. Do you think that relationship is going to be stronger? No. You have to respond back. So my calves are shouting at me during a run. I have to respond to that so that the relationship grows better within the body and my runs grow stronger on the trails. It doesn't have to be right after your run for your recovery, what you want to do. There are even some schools of athletic training that say recover on your off days or during your off season. Really focus on recovery techniques then, so that when you go back into your on season, you're already, you've spent all your time in that preventative preparation mode. That is going to make you stronger right off of the bat in that way. If you can do it at the end of your day, perfect. But again, off days, totally fine to just focus on recovery methods then or during the off training season. What I'm going to do for recovery is myofascial release. And this is something that I've just have become absolutely floored by. My husband jokes with me and says that it's fascinating because we work on hydrating the fascia. And I'm like, I love it. It's great. I'm using that. And it really is fascinating. And it's connective tissue. So it's been in our body for hundreds and hundreds of years, but it's something that within the last like 5 or 10 years, they've started to do research on. We can think of fascia like the pith of an orange. So if I were to peel the skin off of an orange, that white layer that's underneath, that's like our fascia in the body. So I could take my skin away and I would see the fascia, just like on an orange. I could take a slice out of the orange and the pith is around that slice, just like I could take my bicep out and it's around the bicep. Then if I peel that slice open and I take out a little fiber, it's around the fiber, the pith is. Same thing, I take a fiber out of my bicep and it's around the fiber. They have done research where they are finding it around the nucleus of a cell. So it goes all the way to the cellular level in our body. And it's all about the water element. It's about hydration. So we get spots in the body that get stuck. We call it Velcro. So the layers are not able to slide and glide in a healthy way. So in my myofascial classes, we use tennis balls, we use foam rollers, blocks, blankets to put pressure on those spots that are knotted up, dehydrated. It plumps everything up, gives it space, and now everything can slide and glide. And now when the muscles can slide and glide across each other, that's more strength, flexibility, range of motion. It's incredible work. You only need 60 seconds to 90 seconds in areas to get the hydration benefits, and it will last for 5 hours after you do the practice. So if I spend 90 seconds on my calves, for the next 5 hours, the calves are going to be pulling in, calling in for more and more water. It's going to plump and hydrate everything, and your calves are going to feel incredible. I say it's like self-massage. So if you've ever gone to a massage and you've wanted them to work a little bit harder, spend a little bit longer, or even ease off, you have full control of that in this practice. So I'll go through the feet, the calves, hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, low back with the myofascial work, the recovery. And just like the warm-up, you can take what you need and leave what you don't. So if you just need to address the hip flexors, then it's 90 seconds in the hip flexors and there's your recovery. That's it. That's all it could take. And it sometimes is like simple. It's so silly, right? Like it doesn't have to be that much.
Well, and that's the beauty of this, is that it could be done anywhere. So, you know, if you're doing something crazy like the dopey at Disney where you're doing a 5K, 10K, half, and then a full, this is recovery work that you definitely need to be doing in your hotel room between each run. If you are doing the Chicago Marathon and you've got to get back in the car and drive home, this is something you could be doing a little bit while you're driving, even just to help prevent that delayed onset muscle soreness that is coming for you. But just to help that recovery a little bit. So I think that's great that using all those different tools, those are easy to travel with. And sometimes you might only need one of those. We use lacrosse balls here in the clinic. And they have those melt balls, they have things like that. So there's so many options for people to use.
I've heard of people using like an apple, like a really hard green apple. I'm like, okay, I just hope you didn't roll your feet on it and you washed it very well. But like a cold water bottle, golf balls, lacrosse balls, tennis balls, anything.
Your dog's toy, like there's lots of options out there. So no reason to spend a ton of money on this stuff. Yes, those Theraguns are nice, but sometimes percussion work isn't exactly the same thing that Kelley's talking about. This is I use saran wrap as my analogy for fascia, but sometimes percussion work that those Theraguns or massage guns do is not the same thing as this elongation and movement of tissues. So, okay, so let's move into that stuff. I am going to mute myself and minimize myself, and I'm going to pin Kelley to everyone's screen so they can see her. She's going to start getting ready for her stuff too. So if you've got to run to the bathroom, now's a good time to do it. But again, we're going to cut up this a little bit for as you guys are viewing later on. So, and you get a little tour of Kelley's studio right now. So I'm going to mute myself. Kelley, we can come back for a quick wrap up. But when you're done, we're just, and again, we'll be splicing everything for you guys. So yeah. So run to the bathroom, get some water. We'll be back here in a minute. And yeah, if you have a question, just go ahead and post it. I may not answer it until later on. So, all right, Kelley, you take it away when you're ready.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Denise. Okay. See if I can refocus. Okay, there we go. Okay. Okay. So for the warm-up, you could have blocks or chair, or you could be doing this like close to a countertop in your home or a table. If you do feel like you need the ground to come up, because we are going to go into some hamstring stretches at some point. So I do have blocks here in my studio that I could use. And then for the recovery portion, if you want to have 2 tennis balls, or 1 tennis ball is good as well, and a blanket, and that'll be good for the recovery video. Okay, so to start for the warm up, and it's okay if my upper body goes out of frame a little bit, because a lot of it will be down here in the lower half, but we're going to start standing and keep a little bend in the knees and just start to shift your weight from side to side. And this is where we're starting to tap into the balance a bit. If you want to circle an ankle a few times, start to warm up the feet. If you can be doing this barefoot without shoes on, even better, so that we can work all of the bones on the bottom of the feet to get those guys ready for the run as well. Let's do one more each side. Okay. Now step out a little bit further and start to bend into the knees, going into a side lunge. And if your hands want to come to the thighs and help support the upper body. And nothing is glued to the ground. So again, this is an informant. So I'm checking out to see what's handling this well, if I can go deeper, if I need to go slower or faster. The lower I go through the upper body, the more that I can feel it through those adductors, inner thighs. If you want to start adding a little swim and circle of the arms to wake up the spine, the chest. Do one more in each direction. Good. And then we'll turn towards the left foot, and this is where blocks could come in handy, or again, if you have a countertop or a table. So my left foot is forward, my right leg is back, and I'm just going to shift my weight from the front foot towards the back foot, keeping that little bend in the knee. So I'm not going into stick straight legs and trying to tip forward and back. I'm all about being movable, adaptable, fluid. Okay. If this is feeling good, you can maybe widen the stance. So you're going more from a high lunge, runner's lunge, to a pyramid pose. So we're getting into hip flexors here, and then front leg is getting hamstrings and calves. One more, back and forth. Okay, and then I'm gonna walk around to open legs for a moment and keep shifting. So now I'm facing the other direction, and opposite leg now, right leg is in front, left leg is back. Keep a little bend in the knees, rocking back and forth. Okay, notice how that front foot is rolling onto the heel, so I get that moment of stretch through the calf, the hamstrings. And as we feel things warming up, loosening up, I can take a longer stance, go more runner's lunge, sinking the hips, back to that pyramid, more intensity in the front leg. Couple more. Good. Now we're going to step the back foot forward. So both feet are together. Soften the knees. I'm a big proponent of not locking out. We need a tiny little bend. And you can let your upper body sway, release down the legs. If your hands need to stay on your support, they can. If they would prefer to come down to the ground so that you can lengthen more. And release your head. So your chin starts to pull in towards your chest, the back of the head, lengthening towards the earth. Let your upper body sway a little bit to the left, to the right. Bring your upper body back through center. Cross your right foot behind the left. Soften the knees and move your upper body towards the left, walking your hands over. Say hello to your IT band. Come back through center. Step your right foot back to the right side of the mat, and then cross your left foot behind it. Again, a little softness in the knees. And then walk your hands, upper body towards the right. Let your hips swivel towards the left. Say hello to that left IT band. Come back through center. Both feet stepping underneath the hips, so there's some space in between the feet. Soften the knees. Once again, let your head hang. And then slowly start to roll up the body, pressing down into the feet. Think of squeezing and engaging the backs of the legs as you rise up. Your arms can reach. You guys are standing tall. I'll come to kneeling so you can still see me. Arms reaching up, and start to circle the arms. Switch, go opposite direction. Good, one more time, up, back, and down. Let your arms relax by your sides. Chin lifting parallel to the earth, and let your ear drop to your shoulder. Chin rolls down to your chest. Opposite ear to shoulder. Back up to center. Now one hand to your heart, one hand to your low belly. Close your eyes. Take some nice deep breath. Bringing the breath in through your nose. First hand fills up. Second hand fills up. Exhale, release the breath from the nose. Inhale into the first hand. Keep inhaling into the bottom hand. Exhale, let it go. One more breath like that. And then at this point, you can set an intention for your run. What is the feeling you would like to have as you move through your miles? What's a word or a phrase you can use to cheerlead yourself on? Set that now and use it. And arms can relax by your sides, eyes can open. That is your little warm-up for your run. Again, if you need to just segment that based on what your body is telling you it needs more love and attention in, then you can break it down. Otherwise, that is about 8 minutes. So not even 10. You have no excuses now. All right. Now for the recovery. This, again, you could have blocks if you would like. Again, those are great to bring the earth up to you if you feel like you're far from the ground. Tennis ball, 1 or 2, or again, as we were saying in the conversation, lacrosse ball, golf ball, a water bottle, frozen water bottle, those things could be used in place of these. We are going to start standing and myofascial our feet to begin. So if you do need help with balance, you could always move over to wall space or have a chair or something to hold on to. But I'm going to place the ball of my right foot on the tennis ball itself, keep a little bend in the knees, and start to sweep the toes side to side. Okay, so you're going across the ball of the foot. Then go to the arch of the foot. Same thing, sweeping the toes side to side. And then go just in front of the heel. So ball and toes are on the ground and turning the heel side to side. You determine the push here. So I could be leaning in or I can be backing away depending on the intensity I'm looking for. Each day, each practice can be different. And then start to roll the whole sole of the foot as if you're coloring in the palm of the foot with the color of the ball you're using. Notice areas that talk to you a little bit more. Maybe push a little deeper, scrub a little harder. And stand on both feet and notice if already it feels like one foot has more connection to the earth than the other side. If the back of that leg feels a little bit bigger, plumper, and I always say that in a very positive way. We want to be plump and juicy within. And that is the magic of myofascial. That was 60 seconds of rolling out the foot. Huge benefits for the rest of the body. So let's do the other side, other foot. Again, you'll place the ball of your foot on the ball itself and sweep the toes. Okay, go to the arch, the middle of the foot. And just in front of the heel. And then scribble the whole sole of the foot, coloring it in. Again, where you feel things talking louder to you in the sole of the foot, hang out over that area, push a little harder, scrub a little deeper. Again, we're trying to turn Velcro into silk in the body here, finding dehydrated spots and rehydrating them. Good. Release that, standing on both feet. Maybe you need to do a couple of butt kicks or hip sways or ankle circles. You might be surprised at what all feels different with this hydration massage. Okay. Right, we're gonna come down to our sit bones and work the calves next. If you do have 2 blocks and 2 tennis balls, we can do both sides at once. If you need to do just one at a time, that's okay. But with the calf, we want to go where it's more meaty and muscular. So this upper 2/3 of the lower leg. If we go close to the ankle, we don't get as much blood flow or hydration there with the tendons and ligaments. So I like to go kind of dead center on that upper 2/3 of the lower leg. Okay. Whew, this one is always a shocker for people to feel how tight our calves are, how much tension they hold. With this one, maybe just being here and breathing is enough. Or you can sweep the legs side to side. I'm paying attention to where the knots are, where those tender spots. I always feel them towards, on my body, the outer edge of the calf. So I've got knots on each leg here. I'm going to hold over that spot and point and flex. So I've got a knot pinned down. I point and flex the toes. I can circle the ankles. And that's helping to massage out the tissues here, okay? That feels pretty good. It feels like it's released. I could sweep side to side. Find another knot, maybe move up a little bit closer to the knee. Yep, there's another one. Point and flex the toes. Circle the ankles. Keep breathing. Try to not grip in your teeth or your hands. Take 3 more breaths. Okay, we're going to move to the hamstrings now. So the back of the upper legs, same thing. We can do this both at once, or feel free to split the time, do one side and then the other. I'm going to bring the blocks back. Okay, on their low height now, the tennis balls go on top, and I extend the legs out in front of me. So now I'm on the upper part of the backs of the legs, okay? I could bring my hands back behind me and lift and lower my hips. So I'm starting to put that pressure on the tennis balls under the hamstrings. Or I can try to sit up tall. I could try to lean forward, okay? So I'm just adding more and more body weight, more pressure onto these spaces. Last option I'll give you is similar to calves, where we were sweeping the leg to go side to side, drawing that horizontal line. Almost kind of feels like you're playing harp strings on the back of the hamstrings. Again, if you find not a tender spot, maybe pushing, adding a little bit more pressure to work out that dehydrated space. Keep breathing deeply. Okay. We're gonna slide the blocks out of the way and come to lie down on our tummies. Before I get down, I'll show you on the body where we're gonna go for the next two places. First area is gonna be the quads. Okay, so now the front of the upper legs. Knees are gonna be our boundary and just about in line with the pubic bone here across the top of the pelvis for the top line of the quads, because I don't want you going up into what's called the femoral triangle. There's a lot of nerves and stuff here, not where we're going. So anywhere from, again, about pubic bone down to just above the knee, you can place the tennis balls. So for each of us, we might have like 5 or 6 tennis balls worth of distance, maybe others just 3 or so, depends on how we're put together. Okay, so I'll place those and lie down. It's almost like your quads, your thighs have like eyeballs. I like to start right in the center. Oh boy, lots of tension here. Right in the center of the quads, okay? I could be on my chest. I could come up onto elbows and forearms. So that little change in the upper body gives you a different anchor, a different push into the tennis balls, okay? I could bend and straighten the legs one at a time. If both sides feel okay, I could do both at once. Or I can sweep the legs out and in. So again, I'm getting that horizontal line drawn across the quads here. If you're not feeling it in the spot that you've landed, just reach underneath you, move the tennis balls down or up a little bit, and find that sweet spot for your body and what you need. Okay, you're gonna stay on your tummy. The next spot we're gonna go to is in the pelvis here, the hip flexors. So we're down here in the quads. Okay, I want to come up past that femoral triangle now. And if you feel these like horizontal lines on the front of the pelvic wings, and you fall just inside of that, those are the hip flexors. So we call these the eyes of the pelvis. Okay, I'm not coming in too close or down too far. So if you land on this and you suddenly have to go to the restroom, widen the tennis balls, come up a little bit, okay? To give you a reference, this is where the tennis ball is in that crest of the pelvis. Here is my belly button, okay? And then pubic bone down here. So I'm kind of in that middle ground in between. And we're trying to get hip flexors so that when we bring the leg forward, we feel stronger. When the leg back is helping us to propel in our run, that has more power and strength as well. Again, I land right over top of the tennis balls. They sort of like swoop into the wings of the pelvis here. So it really feels like you're like enveloping the tennis balls with the body, with the tissue. Once again, I can stay on the heart, or I can come up onto elbows and forearms, and I can sway the hips, or I can lift and lower one leg. And this lift of the legs is that anchoring down into the front of the hip flexors, so you feel more and more pressure on the front of the pelvis as the leg lifts. Maybe it's just a little lift, maybe of quite a range of motion. Keep breathing deeply. Good. Bring your hands down underneath your shoulders. Lift yourself up. Press back either to tabletop, hands and knees, or your hips can go back to your heels for child's pose. Okay. Make your way around to your sit bones. We're going to finish with 2 more spots. We're going to go glutes, right in the center of the glutes, and then right in the center of the lumbar spine, the low back, okay? So in the glutes, if you imagine you have a target on each cheek, the bullseye right in the center is where we're going to head for the first spot here. Okay, again, you can do one at a time or both. And then the last spot we'll work is the lumbar spine. We don't want to be on the vertebrae, but we're on the right side and the left side of the lower back when we get there, okay? So I'm gonna lie down, bend my knees and plant my feet so that I can lift my hips up. And again, place the tennis balls right underneath the center of each glute. I can keep my knees bent, or I can explore extending the legs long. That position in the legs changes the tilt of the pelvis slightly. So once again, as you're looking inward, as you're getting the information from your body, you're choosing the orientations that feel best, that give you the most pressure, but stuff you can still breathe through. Maybe I sway my knees. I could march the feet. Or my favorite is to go into figure 4, crossing the right ankle over the left knee and letting the legs sway a little bit side to side. If you're doing that figure 4, take it on the second side. Keep breathing deeply, relax any tension in the eyebrows or jaw. Good, both feet down. Lift the hips, take the tennis balls, and just move them up into your lumbar spine, into the low back. Again, do not be on the vertebrae. Don't be on that central column, but you're on the right side, you're on the left side. You can slowly bring your hips back to the ground. Similar options here, whether you want to stay in bent knees or legs go straight. You could press into the feet and lift and lower the hips a little bit. Sway the knees or take that marching once again. And if the march feels good, hugging both knees into your heart for that supine child's pose. Okay, just so that you have a reference of where we were and now where we are, I'll show again. We were here in the center of the glute. Now we've come up here to the center of the lumbar spine. Okay, so a bit of distance in between the 2 spots. Take 4 more breaths. Good. You can plant the feet to the mat, lift the hips up to take the tennis balls off to the side. However the body wants to move and stretch after that, rolling through wrists, ankles, fingers, toes. Then you can choose to keep resting for a little bit longer, head back to a space that you want to revisit if you feel like you didn't have enough time. Otherwise, that is your recovery, and I hope you enjoyed it.